Alright, in this example, FISH is a square, IT is 6. So we just talked about how in a square, because it's also a rectangle and it's also a parallelogram, its diagonals are going to bisect each other and the diagonals are going to be congruent. So all of these little nuggets are going to be 6 because the diagonals are congruent and they're cutting each other in half. Then we talked about how because the square is a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular. So here's a right angle. Because it's a rhombus, because it's a rhombus, this diagonal is bisecting this angle. So if that's a right angle and I'm cutting it in half, each of these is 45 and 45. And then, oh my Lanta, this is now an isosceles right triangle. And if you think about isosceles right triangles, 45, 45, 90, special right triangles, S root 2. If you have the short side, you're going to multiply by root 2 to get the hypotenuse. So 6 times root 2 is 6 root 2. So IH, the length of that whole entire diagonal, is going to be 12. I just double it. So both of the diagonals are 12. And then IS is going to be 6 root 2. On this example, again, this is a rectangle. Because it's a square, it's a rectangle, so the diagonals are congruent. So these are congruent. Because it's a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular, so that's a right angle. Because it's a rhombus, these angles are being bisected, so this is 45 and this is 45. So I have an isosceles right triangle. Hooray! This time though, I have the hypotenuse. So if you're thinking S root 2, if you're going backwards, if you have the hypotenuse and you're trying to get the short side, you're going to divide by root 2. So we're going to take 7, the length of that hypotenuse, and divide it by root 2. Can't leave a square root in my denominator, so I have to rationalize that denominator. I'm going to multiply my fancy 1, root 2 over root 2. And then I'll have 7 root 2 over 2. So this is my final answer because I can't divide 7 into evenly. It would give me a decimal. 3.5 root 2 is like technically correct, but it's just not quite as pretty and it's not as official. So yay, 4 squares, because they're made up of 4 special right triangles. 45, 45, 90. S root 2. I love squares, yes I do.